You're listening to the Divorce and Your Money Show, the number one podcast that discusses the complex business of divorce. I'm your host, Sean Lehman, MBA and certified divorce financial analyst. To get access to over 50 hours of information organized into easy topics to help you through your divorce, visit us at divorceandyourmoney.com/store. It's the best divorce resource that exists in the United States. You're going to get access to over 150 episodes and all this podcast has to offer. And in this episode, I'm going to discuss 5 easily avoidable mistakes you can make in divorce, and some of these mistakes you might already be making. This is one of those episodes where I just want you to do these things that I tell you. To avoid these mistakes, just follow the advice. Sometimes in the episodes, I just want to bring up information for you to consider that you might not have thought about. This is one of those episodes where I just want you to listen and do these things and just make sure you take care of these 5 things. And I get frustrated sometimes because people end up kicking themselves, not always immediately, but a year or 2 or 5 years down the line where they just say, I can't believe I didn't whatever. It oftentimes is one of these 5 things. So I'm going to jump right in. Number 1 is don't get divorced without getting any legal advice. Number 2 is failing to verify budgets and statements of net worth. 3rd is assuming that your attorney is going to take care of everything. 4th is not having a therapist or support system. And 5th is thinking that you can change your divorce later. Let's get into each of these. The first is failing to get any legal advice. A lot of people think that they can just do it themselves in divorce. They think that they're savvy, their spouse is pretty reasonable, they're just going to knock it out. Even if that is the case for you. And that's the case for a lot of my friends, actually, my personal friends, because they know what I do. We talk to them. I know their spouses, and we'll say, look, you can make this big messy, or we can just knock this out quickly. And under any scenario, and usually people say, let's knock it out quickly, or at least without a lot of expenses. But even then, I say, look, let's get to 95% agreement on the issues and make sure that you each consult your own attorney to make sure that everything is done correctly, you're not missing any major steps, you're taking into considerations all the things that apply to your state and to divorce in general. Even if it's just an hour or 2 of attorney time, or if they just draft up the papers for you, get legal advice. It can save a lot of time and headache and issues later that you are probably not well equipped to think about yourself. You might be 80 or 90% of the way there, but that 10% that you haven't resolved, or even that 5% you haven't resolved, or you don't know exactly what the custom is in your state, it's worth getting the specialized help almost always. Number 2 is failing to verify your statement of net worth and budget information. This goes for both you and your spouse. So if you're going through the divorce process, you can't guess on your personal statement of net worth or your financial affidavit. You should find exact verifiable numbers. Why can't you guess? Let's say that you estimate that your car payment is $500 a month, but in reality, it's $200 a month or $250 a month. Well, something that simple could say, your spouse's attorney might say the opposing counsel or the opposing client is intentionally inflating numbers, and we can't give them any credit for the numbers that they give us because it's overinflated information. It could just be a simple mistake on your part. But failing to have the accurate numbers that you can prove can lead someone to put you in a bad position later. And conversely, if your spouse is manipulating numbers, and you might know this, maybe they're omitting numbers or the numbers are wrong, your attorney might be saying the same thing as, the opposing spouse in this case is omitting key financial information, even if it's just they forgot to put the kids' clothing expense on their financial affidavit. That can become a fight later. And maybe they are intentionally doing things, but in any case, make sure whatever numbers that you report and you swear to are 100% accurate, or at least as accurate as you can make them at the time. That's one of the areas, if we're all of my coaching clients, I say the same thing. First thing that we do is review your statement of net worth and make sure that all of the numbers are accurate. And if something sticks out that's questionable, both for you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse, I will bring them up. That's one of the very first things we do for that reason. Number 3 is you can't assume that your attorney, your lawyer, is going to do everything for you. You are in charge of your divorce, not me, not your attorney, not your best friend, not your ex-spouse. It is you. It's your life and your future. And your attorney is there to help you with the legal aspects of your divorce, helping you navigate your local laws, helping you navigate a legal agreement, and help you formalize the process from a legal perspective. Your attorney is not there to help you review financial information. Actually, that's an area that I can help, but that's an area you should also be on top of yourself. Your attorney is not there to be your friend. Your attorney is there to help you with the law. Your lawyer is there for the law, the lawyer. I don't say lawyer very well. It's very hard for me, so I always just say attorney. Anyways, your attorney's not there to calculate your budget, not there to sell your house for you. It's up to you, and this is your life, and so take charge of it. Your attorney can be instrumental to the process, but you are ultimately in charge, and your attorney works for you. And so you are the client, and I'm not going to say that you're always right, but you can certainly instruct how you want certain things to go. And don't treat your attorney as a therapist. That is for point number 4. Is not having an emotional support system. One of the biggest challenges in divorce, it has nothing to do with your finances. It has nothing to do with the 150 episodes of financial topics we've covered. It has nothing to do with your house or with your retirement account or with any of that kind of stuff. You know what it is? It's your own emotions and your mental picture. This is just by nature one of the toughest things that you're going to go through. And you shouldn't go through it alone. You should have a support system. For some of you, that may mean getting a therapist. And I highly recommend it. Someone to talk to a few times a week should you have an issue. For others of you, it might be going to a support group. Some people don't like support groups, but I think it's great if you find one that you like. For others, it could just mean really confiding in a few close friends and working out your emotions that way. If that's the case, then that works for you. But you can't keep it all bottled up, and you can't let it inform the decisions you're going to be making during the divorce, because ultimately the decisions you're making during the divorce are going to be financial ones. With the exception of the kids, it's mostly, and when I say exception of the kids, with the exception of custody of the kids, almost every issue in divorce is a financial question. Splitting up assets, it's a business deal, and your attorney is the one who helps you navigate the law. Myself or yourself or a certified divorce financial analyst is there to help you navigate the financial picture. But your emotions, that's not for me. It's not for your attorney. It's for you to work through so that you can make the best decisions. Because even though this divorce might take a year or 2 or however long it takes, it will be over. And you need to make sure that you're making the best decisions you can during that time that sets you up for the best position for the rest of your life, which may be 10 years for some of you, might be 20 years, it might be 50 years, depending upon how long you live. And so this 1 or 2 year period for you, or even 5 or 6 year, 7 year period for some of you whose divorces seem to never end, it will still end. And you might have the next 10 or 20 or 50 years to think about. And so make sure that your emotions are not driving those big decisions. And finally, is assuming that you can change your settlement later. A lot of people have this perception that, well, whatever, I'm just going to agree to this now and we'll change it when the divorce is over. I just want to get this over with so I can move on to some other things and we'll fix it up when it's over. I'm just going to capitulate. I'm going to give up and just get this process done and we can always go back and modify. No, don't think in that regard. Whatever you agree to or whatever a court decides, but for most of you, it's going to be whatever you come up with in a settlement. Something like 95% of cases go to a settlement. Whatever you decide is pretty much going to be it. Yes, there are limited circumstances where you can reopen certain issues, But you're going to always be fighting an uphill battle whenever you want to change your divorce settlement. It's going to mean lots and lots more in legal fees, a lot more time, a lot more battling, a lot more dealing with attorneys, a lot more open emotions and reopening all of those emotional issues. Whatever you're thinking about agreeing to, you need to make sure it's right for you before you sign on the dotted line. We have a coaching package just for people who are late in the settlement process to make sure that everything is kosher and good to go. For that very reason is that, sometimes when you're so into the issue, it's hard for you to separate yourself from it. You're just too in it. And sometimes it's just helpful to have an outside opinion from the big picture to say, yeah, this makes sense, or why'd you agree to that? Or are you sure this is really what your wishes are? Let's just think through each one of these points and get that second opinion or third opinion to make sure that this all makes sense as a whole. Because if you're trying to change it later, it's just really hard. Simple as that. So don't make these mistakes. Don't get divorced without getting some sort of legal advice. Don't assume that every number that's written on a piece of paper is correct. Make sure that everything's verifiable, both you and your spouses. Make sure that you take charge of your process. Your attorney is not in charge of everything. You need a support system as well to help you with the emotional issues. And finally, is don't assume that you can change your divorce later. By avoiding these mistakes today, you can put yourself in a position for a strong and successful and satisfied rest of your life. Before you go, there's 3 really important things I want you to do. Go to divorceandyourmoney.com. The first thing you do is you sign up for the email list right on the homepage where I send you exclusive tips and information you won't find anywhere else. Second is to get access to over 40 hours of information, the best divorce resources in the United States that exist. Go to divorceandyourmoney.com/store or click on the store button. You're going to get over 150 episodes that this podcast has to offer, all on the store page. And third, and finally, when you are ready for personalized help, visit the coaching page. That's divorceandyourmoney.com/coaching. Because here's the reality. Is many of you are making financial mistakes or not getting all that you deserve as part of the divorce process, or maybe even just having a hard time making rational decisions, making sure that you're making the right decisions during this time because there's so many emotional elements involved. It's hard to keep your head on straight. And divorce attorneys are good. I believe they're essential. But most attorneys are not financial experts, and so I get to work with you across the United States in person, by phone, by email, and all you have to do is click on the coaching tab to set up an introductory call. Because once you sign that divorce settlement, there's no going back. And the sooner you get help, the better. I'm your host, Sean Lehman, MBA and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. Thank you for listening.
We gotta be the best we can be. And though sometimes we don't want to, still we gotta chase our dreams, reach up and reach high, because we're gonna